The bold and the beautiful spoilers, Will's shocking downfall changes everything. The drama at Forrester Creations is about to reach a whole new level, and at the center of it all is Will Spencer. What started as a heated personal conflict has now turned into a situation that could change several lives at once. Recent events have left tensions running high between Will and RJ Forrester. Their rivalry, which had been building quietly for some time, finally exploded in a very public way. Emotions got the better of both sides, and the consequences are now spreading far beyond a simple disagreement. As news of the confrontation begins to circulate throughout Forrester Creations, employees are finding themselves caught up in the fallout. One person who is particularly affected is Electra. The moment she starts hearing details about what happened, she realizes that she may have unintentionally become the center of a conflict she never wanted. For Electra, the situation is heartbreaking. She cares deeply about the people involved, and discovering that a personal dispute escalated because of feelings connected to her leaves her struggling with guilt and disappointment. While she understands that emotions can sometimes take over, she never expected things to go this far. Meanwhile, conversations are taking place behind closed doors. Executives are reviewing what happened and considering what actions should be taken. The incident has become impossible to ignore, and everyone knows that serious consequences may be coming. What makes the situation even more complicated is that relationships within the company are already fragile. Long-standing tensions, personal loyalties, and family connections are all influencing how different people view the conflict. As Monday's episode unfolds, viewers will see just how quickly one impulsive decision can create a chain reaction. The damage has already been done, and now everyone involved must face the reality of what comes next. And for Will Spencer, the worst may still be ahead. As the aftermath of the confrontation continues to unfold, the atmosphere at Forrester Creations becomes increasingly tense. What was once a private conflict has now become the main topic of conversation throughout the company. Employees are exchanging opinions, rumors are spreading, and everyone seems to be waiting for the next major development. For Will Spencer, the pressure is mounting from every direction. He knows that his actions have put him in a difficult position, but that doesn't mean he's ready to accept the consequences without a fight. In his mind, there is far more to the story than what everyone else is seeing. Will believes that he has been pushed to his breaking point. From his perspective, the conflict with RJ didn't happen out of nowhere. Emotions had been building for weeks, and unresolved frustrations eventually reached a point where neither side was willing to back down. However, explanations may not matter anymore. Inside the executive offices, discussions are taking place about accountability and professionalism. Company leadership understands that personal disputes can happen, but physical confrontations create a very different situation. The reputation of the company is always a priority, and decisions are being made with that reality in mind. Meanwhile, Electra finds herself caught in an impossible position. She doesn't agree with what happened, but she also doesn't want to see Will's future destroyed. Her emotions are conflicted. On one hand, she is disappointed by the choices he made. On the other, she understands that people sometimes make mistakes when emotions take control. As she reflects on everything that has happened, Electra begins questioning whether the growing rivalry between Will and RJ can ever truly be resolved. The hostility between them seems stronger than ever, and every new development only adds fuel to the fire. At the same time, RJ appears far more confident than ever before. Rather than showing concern about the situation, he seems convinced that events are finally moving in his favor. For the first time in a long while, he feels like he has the upper hand. But confidence can be dangerous. The deeper this conflict goes, the more unpredictable the outcome becomes. Old grudges, wounded pride, and personal ambitions are creating a volatile situation that could explode again at any moment. And as Monday's drama continues, one thing becomes increasingly clear: this story is far from over. The turning point arrives when Will Spencer finally learns the full extent of the consequences he is facing. Up until now, there may have been hope that the situation could be repaired, but that hope quickly begins to fade as reality sets in. The message is clear: the company is moving forward, and Will is no longer part of the plan. For a moment, disbelief takes over. Will struggles to accept that everything he worked for at Forrester Creations could disappear so quickly. One heated incident has suddenly placed his future in jeopardy, and the realization hits harder than he expected. Yet instead of backing down, Will's frustration only grows stronger. The anger that has been building inside him begins to surface once again. He feels betrayed by the people he believed would support him. In his view, others are ignoring the bigger picture and focusing only on the final outcome. The decision feels unfair, and he isn't afraid to say so. As tensions rise, RJ remains firm. He has no intention of changing his position, and he appears completely comfortable with the direction events are taking. From where he stands, actions have consequences, and Will is simply experiencing the results of his own decisions. That attitude only makes things worse. The distance between the two young men continues to grow, transforming an already intense rivalry into something much deeper. What began as competition is now becoming personal, and neither side seems willing to take a step toward peace. Elsewhere, Electra is left trying to make sense of everything. Watching the situation spiral out of control is painful, especially because she never wanted to become connected to the conflict in the first place. Every new argument reminds her that emotions have completely overshadowed reason. Despite her disappointment, she still hopes that common sense will eventually prevail. Unfortunately, the events unfolding around her suggest the exact opposite. As Will prepares to leave behind a chapter of his life, he makes it clear that he has not forgotten what happened. The frustration in his voice is impossible to miss. He isn't thinking about moving on. Instead, he is focused on the people he believes are responsible for his downfall. That mindset could prove dangerous. Because when someone feels they have nothing left to lose, their next move can become impossible to predict. And judging by the determination in Will's eyes, this battle may only be entering its next phase. The consequences of this rivalry are growing larger by the day, and everyone involved may soon discover that the real drama has only just begun. With his future at Forrester Creations suddenly gone, Will Spencer finds himself standing at a crossroads. The career path he once imagined has been disrupted, and now he must decide what comes next. For many people, this would be a moment for reflection and self-evaluation. But for Will, emotions are still running far too high. The frustration of losing his position continues to follow him everywhere. Every conversation, every reminder of what happened, only deepens the sense of betrayal he feels. In his mind, the punishment has gone beyond accountability and crossed into something far more personal. As a result, moving forward becomes much more difficult than anyone expected. Meanwhile, the people around him are beginning to wonder what his next step will be. Some believe he will eventually calm down and focus on rebuilding his future. Others aren't so sure. They can see the anger beneath the surface, and they worry that his resentment may lead to even bigger problems. At the center of those concerns is RJ. Although RJ appears confident on the outside, there are signs that the conflict has left lasting damage. Even when victories seem complete, rivalries rarely disappear overnight. History has shown that unresolved tensions often return when people least expect them. For Electra, the situation remains emotionally exhausting. She never wanted to choose sides, yet circumstances continue pushing her into the middle of the battle. Every interaction becomes complicated because both men are connected to a conflict that refuses to die. She wishes everyone could simply move on, but reality is proving much more complicated. At the same time, a new opportunity may be beginning to take shape for Will. Losing one position doesn't necessarily mean losing every possibility. Sometimes a setback creates unexpected doors that were previously closed. That possibility could become extremely important in the days ahead. Will has always carried the Spencer name, and that connection alone opens doors that many people could only dream about. There are influential figures in his life who may see potential where others only see mistakes. If someone is willing to give him another chance, everything could change. The question is whether Will is ready to accept that opportunity. Right now, his focus remains fixed on the past rather than the future. Instead of looking ahead, he keeps replaying the events that led him here. And until he lets go of that anger, finding a fresh start may prove impossible. One thing is certain, the next chapter of Will Spencer's story is about to begin, and it may take him in a direction nobody sees coming. As the dust begins to settle, the impact of recent events continues to ripple through the lives of everyone involved. What started as a heated confrontation has evolved into a turning point that could permanently reshape several important relationships. For Will Spencer, the future remains uncertain. The loss of his position has forced him into unfamiliar territory, and for the first time in a long while, he finds himself questioning what comes next. The confidence he once carried has been shaken, but the determination inside him remains very much alive. The challenge now is deciding how that determination will be used. Will has two choices in front of him. He can allow anger and resentment to guide his decisions, or he can use the setback as motivation to prove that one mistake does not define his entire future. The path he chooses could influence not only his own life but also the lives of everyone around him. Meanwhile, RJ continues to enjoy what appears to be a hard-earned victory. From his perspective, justice has been served, and the consequences have finally caught up with his rival. Yet victories achieved through conflict often come with hidden costs. The tension between these two young men has not disappeared. If anything, the events of recent days have intensified emotions on both sides. The rivalry that once centered on personal disagreements now carries a deeper level of bitterness. Neither side is likely to forget what happened, and that means future confrontations remain a very real possibility. At the center of it all stands Electra. More than anyone else, she understands how much damage this situation has caused. She has watched friendships fracture, trust disappear, and emotions spiral out of control. While others focus on winning or losing, Electra sees the human cost of the conflict. Her greatest hope is that eventually cooler heads will prevail. But in the world of the bold and the beautiful, peace rarely lasts forever. New opportunities are already beginning to emerge, unexpected alliances may soon form, and old rivalries have a habit of returning when people least expect them. What appears to be an ending today could easily become the beginning of an even larger story tomorrow. As viewers look ahead to the episodes still to come, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: the fallout from Will and RJ's conflict is far from finished. The consequences will continue to spread, relationships will be tested, and major decisions will shape the future of everyone involved. The battle may be over for now, but the war is only beginning. And that's exactly why fans won't want to miss a single moment of the drama ahead.